Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to get Audrey on the line here, so hang tight. Just waiting for Audrey to come on before we begin. Okay, Audrey, you're there. Welcome. What I'm going to have you do, I think you have to request on your end to join the live. It's at the bottom of your screen. There we go. I'm trying to accept it, and it's not letting me. Very, very strange. We're still trying to get Audrey on the line here. Okay, looks like this is like the fifth time that I've tried to. Oh, here we go. Yay! This has happened the last time I did a live. It takes like 5 or 6 times to work. So glad you made it. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. And happy birthday to Dominic, your 1-year-old.
Thank you. Oh, it's crazy. It's wild. It goes by so fast.
I know. I can't believe all of the life changes you've been through since we worked together.
I know. All the things. Just like check.
I
check.
know. Good stuff. It's all good. It's amazing. So it's good to see you. And thank you so much for agreeing to jump on. And I just really appreciate it. It's, the beginning of the year, as you know, and there are quite a few people who are probably looking to either lose weight or get healthier or improve their relationship with food.
Mm-hmm.
And just because of what I do, I get tons of messages on Instagram, right? Like semaglutide, Ozempic, join this 6-week challenge. There are a lot of different things out there that people can try. But what I thought would be really helpful is just to talk about, what led you to reach out for help. I think this happens sometimes, is that, we try things on our own and we don't really know if what we're doing is going to get us the results that we want, or it's not happening in the time frame that we want. And you, obviously being a nurse, like you said, you have a lot of understanding about the human body and you understand nutrition. You're a smart person, so you can figure it out. But I think for the audience, they would love to know what made you finally say, okay, I've tried this on my own. It's time to reach out. I know you were 5 months from your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can talk about just what made you finally reach out to someone to get help.
I think I do wish that I reached out earlier, to be totally honest with you, because it was such a great experience. No, I think to your point, I was someone that was really well researched and had the ability and had that foundational knowledge in pathophysiology and in human nutrition to be able to really look at what does the body need to use as fuel and how does it process food. But what I think that I really needed and wanted was someone who could truly help me translate that into results. So, like one of our first things that we did together was sort of the reverse dieting, and that was a huge deal to me, to have to start to increase my macros and really go up on the amount of food that I was taking in on a daily basis. But I think having someone who was able to really hold my hand and walk me through that process and help manage that food anxiety was just, I can't put into words like what a wonderful investment that was to me. Just not only from a weight loss perspective, but also just from a general kind of relationship with food perspective. So I think having someone to kind of walk that journey with me was really impactful, and was one of the reasons that I reached out.
Great. Yeah, I think, reverse dieting, I definitely want to go back to that because I don't know that a lot of people know what that is. And it can be a really scary concept when I bring that up to clients because it's the opposite of what we think. So, reverse dieting is essentially increasing one's calories after they've been either chronically dieting or under eating to the point where you're lacking energy, you're not able to manage stress, you're not motivated to work out, you've hit a weight loss plateau. This is extremely common with many people that come to me. So it's, essentially saying, okay, Audrey, I want you to work out a little less and I want you to eat more because you've got a lot going on right now. You're a full-time nurse, you're planning for a wedding, and your body physiologically is not responding well. So how did you wrap your head around the fact that I was recommending you to eat more? Because that is something that I know is difficult for people to wrap their head around.
Yeah, I think definitely the first couple weeks were, I would say my adherence wasn't great. But I was
Huh?
not made to feel judged, or that there was anything wrong with that, or that it was anything less than normal. So I think having a coach that was really realistic of kind of the amount of time that it takes to go on that journey, and the amount of time that it really takes to get to that point of true adherence was, again, like one of the key, I think, success factors. But in the beginning, it was really hard. But having you, Gwen, as a coach to help me see those small wins along the way, like the fact that I was sleeping better, and that I was recovering from workouts quicker, and that I wasn't feeling that kind of like sugar crash in the middle of the day. And, after dinner, sitting on the couch, wasn't having those cravings because I had fueled my body enough throughout the day. Those small kind of indicators were enough for me to kind of continue to walk that journey with you, on reverse dieting.
Great. Yeah. It's hard initially for sure. And I'm sure you're glad you stuck with it, but it is important to point out how your body is physiologically responding. And that's a sign that you needed that fuel or that food to get the result you were looking for. That doesn't mean we're doubling your calories or tripling your calories. I think sometimes that's what people are afraid of. It's giving you just enough fuel so that you feel good and you're still getting the results that you're looking for. So, yeah, that's great to hear. I know when you first came to me, it was about weight loss, which it typically is. Um, and because you were preparing for your wedding, is there anything that surprised you that you learned along the way that you didn't expect, or you didn't really come to the experience or relationship expecting to get out of it, that you just thought was, wow, this is a bonus, this is more than weight loss?
Yeah, I think definitely more of the, I guess, mental kind of side of my relationship with food was a huge bonus that I didn't expect to undertake. I think even just this common theme of food having morality or food not having morality. So assigning specific foods as those are bad or those are garbage, versus just really looking at it super granular from, okay, this scoop of ice cream is X amount of calories, but it's also X amount of carbs and fats, and, protein too. And if you have that in your window for the day, great, but also think about how you feel after, and maybe having a bowl of strawberries that are cut up from a volume perspective makes you feel better, but at the end of the day, it's still carbs.
Mhm.
So do you have So I think removing those words and removing that idea of morality around food was like a big light bulb moment for me that I didn't expect to get out of
Mhm.
all of this.
Yeah, great. I think it's so important when we look at losing weight. I think it's like, okay, tell me what I need to eat. I'll eat that many calories and I'll be done with it. And the people that really transform, like, it's not just about your weight changing or your body changing, it's about your mindset about food and about your body. And I think that's sometimes what people don't realize is an essential part of the journey. And we do get caught up in, oh, that food is good or bad, or carbs are bad, I shouldn't eat carbs. And I don't even think people realize how they talk to themselves about food, or they shame themselves, or they feel guilty. And it's, I'm so excited to hear that, you're still, like, the lessons are still there, and you're remembering that. And one of the things that you said, I think it was our last session, which was great to hear, you said, I feel nutritionally well fed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember saying that,
Yeah.
but it's, our bodies need nourishment. We need nutrition to function optimally and to feel our best. And that's all part of the picture. And when we feel our best and our bodies are functioning at their best, that's when we can lose weight, and when things start to really happen and we change our body's composition, and it becomes ideal. So um, one of the other things too that we had talked about was just kind of lightening up a little bit, like, no morality, as you talked about it, and you just working through, like, if you did eat some ice cream, let's say, how did you work through that? Because I think there was a bit of, like, perfectionism, or I can't deviate in any way. How did you work through that?
Yeah. I think I'd like to think through this process, and even a bit before, having a pretty good idea of some body awareness. So I think taking away that morality, but also bringing in more of that body awareness of how am I feeling after?
Mhm.
Do I feel sluggish? Am I getting like stomach cramps? Is this maybe not the best thing for me? Or am I craving it more and more when I have it once versus it just being a special treat? And then also allowing myself to kind of have that compare contrast that we talked about. So, like, yeah, if I feel better after having, a bowl of strawberries with some mini chocolate chips on top, and that still gives me that same feeling at the end of the day that I'm looking for and satisfies that craving, that's completely fine. And I think uh, knowing that there's always a time and place for everything. So I think also one of the areas that we talked about was alcohol.
Mhm.
So sure, when we started this process, you were going to say, like, absolutely no alcohol, like, cut it all out. Like, like, you can't drink at all. And that was never the case. It was just, again, like, bring back that body awareness. So how do you
Mhm.
feel? How do you feel the next day? Like, how does this affect your plan? How does this affect your goals?
Mhm.
Um, how can you drink more mindfully if you're going to drink, or how can you plan ahead
Mhm.
for it? And so I think taking out those absolutes of you can never have this was one thing that really helped me. And also, again, bringing back that body awareness so that I was kind of able to fill in the blanks of and problem solve for myself. I kind of think of this like the way I approach some patients, right? Like if I ask them to think about, a certain situation and how they're feeling and really problem solve on their own,
Mhm.
that giving them a much larger toolkit than just telling them don't do this or don't drink alcohol, or if they're diabetic, don't eat sweets at all, versus having that kind of relationship back and forth and allowing them to problem solve. That was like a huge part of what we did during our coaching sessions.
Yeah, I mean, that's great, because that's the goal, right? Is anybody can tell you what to do, or you can go to Google and read what to do, but it's more about how you make the choices for yourself and why you're making those choices. And for you, you did create this incredible body awareness where you started to really pay attention to how you felt in different scenarios, and telling you to not eat something is not going to be really helpful, right? That's something you need to learn on your own. And that leads to self-efficacy, right? It's about you being able to carry these lessons and make these decisions, because there will be changes coming up, just like your life changed. You got married, you now have a 1 year old. So, one of my questions is like, how did you create that body awareness? Like, what do you think helped you really understand what you truly needed? Or is it okay to have this now? Like, how am I going to make that decision that it's okay?
I think taking a pause, and thinking about, why am I choosing this? Am I sad, or am I bored? Um, or did I see an ad on TV or on my phone and that's like making me want something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, am I dehydrated? So like really taking a pause before just going head into things was helpful. I think having the app and having my macros for the day and knowing what was available to
Mhm.
me also just again put that barrier of time in between where I wasn't inclined to just go out and go to Starbucks and just like max out on whatever I
Mhm.
wanted. It was okay, let's problem solve what we have for the day, and can we fit it in here? Do I really want it? Do I really need it? And yeah, if it was, no, I'm just bored, okay, well, then I need to do something else, like a book, or let's go on a walk outside with the dog, or I'll do like a quick 10-minute workout on my Peloton or something,
Mhm.
versus just like going and opening the fridge and staring into the abyss. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is such an important thing that I think a lot of people don't think about. It's not that you can't have something, it's that pause that you talked about and paying attention to, what are the triggers that are typically leading me to eat? Is it physiological hunger? Like you said, is it boredom? Is it stress? Is it that I'm in an environment where there's food and somebody's telling me to eat, which can happen over the holidays? We just finished those. So, I think just being okay and being curious and understanding what motivates us and what has been our habit, it's not to punish ourselves and say, wow, I can't believe I've done that. It's to understand where we are now and then what can we do a little differently. And it never means eliminating alcohol or chocolate chips or ice cream. You mentioned it, it's by using an app and saying, okay, can I fit this in today? Do I want the Starbucks frappuccino, or would I prefer to wait and have ice cream with my husband sitting on the couch watching our favorite show? And you can do either of those, you have the choice. And what does the rest of your day look like if you're going to do that? And you can always fit it in, you never have to restrict. And I think that's one of the big things that people miss, is that having that flexibility and allowing yourself to have those things, you can still get results and you can still enjoy food. And that's the piece. It doesn't have to be this all or nothing, no carbs, you have to go keto or anything like that. So, um, congratulations for in, like really creating that awareness and developing that intuition, um, and knowing that you were feeling better. So tell us a little bit about how things have looked since you got pregnant, you moved, you had your baby, all those things.
Yeah.
And how have things looked since working
a,
with me?
a little different. So I definitely was not tracking during pregnancy because I mean that wasn't the goal.
Right.
The goal during was not to lose weight. It was really to grow a healthy baby.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, it's those underlying lessons learned of, okay, what does my body need right now? Why am I feeling tired? Okay, I might, I might be depleted of iron right now because of this stage I'm at in my pregnancy. And so it was looking at iron rich foods that I wanted to eat. Or if I really wasn't feeling great, like I was feeling queasy, okay, what can I eat right now, or what can I drink? That's still going to get me to this point. And then I think having those preparation skills that we learned of meal prepping and things like that, pretty close to my delivery date as well, was helpful. So like I knew that I was not going to be in the mood to be cooking large
Right.
meals after a baby, even though I did have help, thankfully. I was very privileged to have help, from my husband and from my mother. But even just like I just prepped smoothies for myself and had them in the freezer. And then I was able to put those, with some protein powder, and just made sure that I had iron rich foods after pregnancy for postpartum. So I was recovering. Looking at food from the perspective of, I breastfed for 10 months. So having foods that I knew were also going to enrich my breast milk for my baby
Mm-hmm.
was another big thing that I wanted to focus on. So really like being very intentional with what I was eating, and also being intentional with those hunger cues. I think, to be totally honest with you, I was more hungry breastfeeding than I was during pregnancy. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
ravenous, like more so than at all. And really I had to be super aware. Like there were times when I felt really faint because I just wasn't eating enough, and I just wasn't fueling my body properly. And really my body was telling me, like, you're also fueling yourself and another human being, so you need to eat
Yeah.
more, and eat more nutritionally
Mm-hmm.
dense. So like again, taking those pauses and really, listening to my body when it was giving me those messages were a big deal. And now that I've slowly weaned off of breastfeeding, now I gave myself that leniency of, okay, now is actually the time that like I can focus on myself, and that like this is an appropriate time to have weight loss as a goal. Pregnancy and breastfeeding, that like really was not the
Yeah.
time to have that type of goal. So now I'm in a season that is an appropriate, nutritional choice for me.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's so incredible. What I hear is that you use the same skills during your weight loss phase leading up to your wedding to, in a different season of life, whether you were pregnant, postpartum, breastfeeding, that your body has different needs. And you absolutely need more calories when you're breastfeeding. It's kind of amazing how many calories it burns. But those same skills you're using regardless of the season in life. And I think that takes the pressure off too, right? Because your body has different needs in different seasons. And you not only did the best thing for yourself, but for your son.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty remarkable that, that's what you did. And weight loss is not something that anybody should be going through every day for the rest of our lives. It should be reserved for like an 8 to 12 week period in a given year, and the rest of the time we should be in maintenance or trying to build muscle. And I just applaud you for doing the right thing and using those same skills, which was incredible. Because it can be hard when, in our head you probably maybe wanted to start sooner, and you had to really tell yourself, no, it's not the right time, this isn't the right season. So that's tremendous, and now you have a healthy, happy baby boy.
Yeah, I think even too with exercise as well. Like I think when we were working together, I even went through a period where I needed to
Yes.
cut back a lot on the exercise that I was doing, because it was really too physically intense for me. And it was really interfering with my ability to lose weight. So I think having to practice that restraint as well, those were lessons that I'm really happy I had in my tool belts near postpartum, when really again like my activity level was super restricted because my body was recovering from
Right.
birth. Walks outside, that was my physical activity.
Yeah.
So and I did, and I got it in, and it was great for my mental health, and it was great for my physical health and recovery. But um, you know, that was not the time to be going crazy and doing a HIIT class or something like that, or hopping on the treadmill or my bike. It was really just not the season for that type of physical
Mhm.
activity.
Yeah, it's, amazing how it can be, I call them, one of my mentors uses the term drains and charges. And we have a lot of drains that, kind of are going against our body or depleting our body. And that can be too much exercise, lack of sleep, being stressed out, not eating enough, having a comorbidity, being sick, infection. And the charges typically, the drains are usually greater for most people. And so what you did by eating more, exercising less, those were the charges. We were kind of rebuilding your battery, right? And then you pausing and thinking about what your body needs, that's another charge. Like that's a mental recharge. And that allows you to reframe the situation. And that's essentially another angle on how this can help you, is just looking at, am I draining my body or depleting my body too much? And how do I recharge it? How do I plug it in and make sure that I'm, getting what I need so that my body then gives me what I need? So it sounds like that's a tremendous skill that you developed. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience? Like just anything about your experience, or like what you're doing now that you feel is, really helpful, that maybe was as a result of coaching, and just anything you want to share.
Um, yeah, I think, one coaching was really helpful for me to learn to, I think, give up a little bit of control and stop kind of self-sabotaging, of doing too much research or going down this pathway or going down that pathway, and really learning to trust another expert,
Mhm.
with my care. I am a nurse, but I'm not a nutritional expert. So that was a huge thing for me. And then I think about even, when I was pregnant and when I had a baby, I'm a pediatric nurse. I'm not an OB-GYN nurse. So giving up a bit of that control and really allowing myself to listen to who the subject matter experts were in that
Mhm.
area, um, that that was a big deal for me. And I definitely feel like having that coaching experience, I was able to translate that into a lot of different areas. And then I think also not discounting, right? Like coaching was great for also addressing those kind of mental barriers that I had with food, but also not allowing it to replace traditional therapy and things like that if you need it. So kind of tapping in and leaning into that when I felt those triggers and like I needed that additional support as well, was really big. So I think trusting your coach, leaning into the subject matter experts, that was something that I didn't expect to get out, and I'm for sure still practicing.
Fantastic. That's great. Yeah, it's so such a relief. Like I think sometimes when we think, oh, we're asking for help, it's a sign of weakness or vulnerability, and it's really like the strongest thing you can do is to say, hey, I need some help in this area. I'm a nurse, and I'm a pediatric nurse. I can cover that all day long, but now I know who to call if I have any questions about
Yeah.
peds. But there are things that I don't know that I sometimes have to go to my mentors. I mean, if I have a tough case with a client, I don't know everything. Sometimes I have to refer out if somebody needs a therapist and it's definitely a diagnosable eating disorder or something else. I do not, like, ethically, that is not the right thing for me to do. But I love it when I get this opportunity to be a part of a team, right? When I have clients who are seeing a therapist, a trainer, a primary care physician, or an endocrinologist for their hypothyroidism, and I'm able to collaborate, maybe not directly, but I'm using the data from those other people on the team, and we're coming up with a kind of a bigger picture recommendation that includes nutrition and lifestyle. And that's the lane I'm in, right? So I think that's great that you recognize the benefits of that. And I just want to commend you because you were really open to learning when you came to me. And I think having an open mind is one of the biggest ways that people can get something out of the experience and have it be transformational, where they can use this as they go. But you said, I'm ready to relearn or retaught. And so you have this student or beginner mindset, like, hey, I'm here to learn. And you realize that there are some things that you might need to unlearn. And I think that's a really big one. We hold on to these stories or these beliefs about things that we learned maybe from adolescence or our family of origin. Many things can influence the way we eat or how we feel about our body. So a lot of times it is unlearning. And that was something you said initially when we worked together, that I'm here to learn and unlearn, essentially. So I just, I want to commend you that you made it easier because you were very open to learning and recognizing that you needed to put in the work and maybe just shift your mindset about certain things. And I think that's one of the best things that people can get. They can get the most out of the experience if they come in with an open mind, a curious mind, and they leave behind the judgment and like that self-punishment, because more than likely you've done enough of that on your own before you came to me. And so let's find a way to build you back up so you have the reserve, the resiliency, and the strength to continue on your own. And you've certainly done that. So you're doing amazing. Fantastic. Yeah. So what's next? Are you still in NP school, or what's happening with that?
Yeah, so great question. So I am still getting my doctorate in nursing, but I have shifted focuses. So I'm actually in transformational leadership. So it's a little bit of a different pathway, but it honestly has been such a great and welcome change for me. So it has given me a lot better kind of quality of life. It's definitely the setting that I see myself professionally wanting to grow into. And I've just really enjoyed coaching and mentoring young nurses. And so this is an avenue that will allow me to continue to do that. So that's kind of what I am pursuing now.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this is about. It's you feeling good in your body and in your mind so you can do all of those amazing things. Be a mom, a wife, like pursue your career and the things that are really meaningful to you. And that's really what it's all about. And you're doing it. So I'm so happy for you, and I can't wait to continue to follow along to see what's next for you, and wanted to thank you for jumping on and just sharing your experience with me and Beyond the Box.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Audrey, anything else?
No, I just, again, thank you for
Of
everything.
course.
Thank you for just being such a sounding board and just an unjudgmental or non-judgmental rather coach that I had.
Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure, and it was great reconnecting with you live. Even better than the phone, right?
Yeah.
All right, Audrey, thank you, and Happy New Year and healthy New Year as
Yeah.
well. Thanks again. Take care.
Bye.